All right, guys, let's welcome Austin Archey of Lorna Shore to the Talk Toomey Podcast here. Archey, how are we? Austin, Jesus Christ. Austin,
That-
how are we doing today?
That's okay. Every teacher my whole life called me Archie, so
Well,
it's a
I
simple.
was Toomey for so long, and actually with the show being Talk Toomey, so I get being called by your last name.
Yeah. No, I'm doing well. I'm just hanging out.
Looks like you're just hanging out there. Feel the Everblack Festering Within Me coming out September 12th. Century Media, man. I guess just let's dive into it, man. Talk to me about, coming up with the new record and kind of having to follow up the last record and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, having a follow up was a bit of a pressure and a painstake at times, and I think once we like kind of just separated the record, the people, and just was just like, hey, this is supposed to be a natural thing being an artist. The certain records reflect moments in time, just like I feel like paintings do for people that paint and artists. So, once we just stopped comparing, I think ideas to and remains and things that weren't even just in their infancy, just be like, I don't know. Once we just dove into our, psyche and just our natural flow, things really started to pick up. And yeah, I mean, I'm really stoked. I think we had like a bit of a mission to prove on this one, and that's just to like write a pretty diverse record across the board as opposed to just like diverse songs. Sometimes we would do a lot of diversity within a song, and from my view, and then be like, oh well, now every song just has a little bit of this and that. I think it's just we focused more on just a plan and just things that we wanted to do with each song, as opposed to the whole record. And then once we put the record together, having all the diversity within the songs, it was fun. I think the listener's journey, if they choose to listen to track 1 to 10, does exactly what I wanted it to do.
When you're coming up with drums for this style of music, I mean, do you sometimes you're just like, God, I wish we could slow down. Let's go some 4/4 Motley Crue, four on the floor, because I mean,
Yeah.
having to continue to push the envelope must be tedious for you.
Oh yeah. And to be fair, like I think nowadays it's more so and I don't know. I don't know if it's just turning 30 years old where you're like, maybe I'll just dial it back a little bit. But even our version of dialing back, I don't think is most people's version. But I mean, at times on this record, I definitely didn't want to overcomplicate, recognizing. I think I took a really big like thought into like recognizing like what drums are, what's my role. And it's like, yeah, I'm a rhythmic element, but there's rhythm within the vocals that don't follow the drums, and there's rhythm within the guitar and the production. There's so much rhythm that if I take up all the rhythmic space, it leaves no room for anyone else. So it was nice to kind of just leave a bit more of a blank slate, and then to see what will latch onto. And then sometimes he'll do something cool, and then I'll go back in and change. I'm like, oh yeah, I just really like that moment. Let me dial that back so you're heard and your version of like what the rhythm should be. And same with the leads, like I feel like those have their own rhythm to them. So it was just a bit of a you know, trying to create like a playing field where everyone gets, a shot. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
everyone's
right.
got a moment, and I don't want to just take up all that space. So if anything, yeah, I think this record I tried to just up my songwriting game and just like being more there for everyone else in the band to shine.
You brought up a point in there, kind of turning 31, and obviously playing longer on stage, the band's getting bigger, longer set times, headlining shows, things like that. And you have to take into consideration the live show, to where you have to play certain songs from the past, but then add some of these new songs in. How do you kind of keep your stamina up, your cardio up to kind of continue to do this?
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of people say I look very chill on stage, and like, I try to give it, I do some more showmanship and try to be an entertainer live.
Yeah,
But as far as just like keeping up live, I mean, to be honest, it's harder once we stop. Because once we're going, the body's kind of
right.
just warming up and it's getting used to it. So there are songs at the end of the set that are way harder than in the beginning, but it's not even a matter of like fatigue. It's just more so like your body warming up to that spot. Because sometimes, yeah, we're like halfway through the set and I'm feeling great, and we've played shows where we ended the set and I'm like, I could play 10 more. Like I just felt everything felt
Right.
right. It felt good. But yeah, just you always got to keep it relaxed. I'm sure people hear this style and they think, oh my God, this guy's 700 pounds just pounding drums with sticks that are as big as tree trunks, because that's the vibe it gives off. But I will definitely say that the trick, especially with playing so fast, is you got to just it's like running a marathon. You cannot sprint, your first mile. You're not going to make it to the last one. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to keep a nice pace, keep yourself together. And don't get me wrong, first show of a tour, first couple dates, first song, yeah, I'm all crazy. I'm, oh my God. And then all of a sudden, the next day I wake up, I'm like, oh, and everything hurts. And then once that heals, I feel like up until like, show 4 or 5, where my drumming muscles have been exhausted, now they're feeling good. Then we're like on to the rest of the tour where everything feels good. So yeah, you got to keep it pretty relaxed up there.
Me being a fan of death metal and deathcore and everything, I was getting into stuff in the 90s and kind of listening to this style of music, and no one ever gets into the style of music to make a career. You know what I'm saying? Like you or to make money or whatever. But the rise of Lorna Shore over the last few years has been wild to me. So it's like, see you guys cross over into Lollapaloozas and things like that, and even the charismatic voice lady kind of taking a liking to Will, and like this weird crossover that you guys have been able to attain, which is wild. Because I mean, honestly, a song like To the Hellfire should never be a single and should never be played on on the radio and garner so much attention. But obviously the outro to that song with Will's crazy pig squeals, everything else, like it just attracted so many people to the band. And it's been awesome to kind of watch a band like this kind of break through.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, for me, I never thought I'd live to see the day.
Right.
I mean, because again, I mean, there's bands when I was younger and, not naive, but like my perception of how big a band like Suicide Silence or Whitechapel or, Job for a Cowboy, or even bands, not even of that caliber, like a band like growing up, like Dance Gavin Dance or My Children, My Bride or Devil Wears Prada,
Mhm.
like, or Misery Signals. I'm like, oh my God, this band is huge. There must be rich.
Right.
Um, and then I've toured with a lot of those people. I've made friends with these people, and yeah, it's crazy to see like our music sort of reach newer heights. You know what I mean? And I'm thankful for it. We definitely carry all those influences on our back. I definitely don't forget, where we came from whatsoever, and with deathcore and death metal and even tech death elements that we have, bands like
Yeah.
Fallujah and Necrophag, just the gods of tech death. Archspire, Zenith Passage, like those bands are incredible bands, and we take a lot of influence from those bands. And um, yeah, I mean, some days I wonder, I'm like, what happened? Why us out of everyone? I'm very humble, so I'm like, geez, man, there's some killers out here,
Mhm.
But I think it was just the right time, right place. I think the right people discovered the band, the younger crowds, excited people. I would say the new fan base is like a bit removed from the deathcore world and the metal world. So, I mean, to be fair, it's just like, there's a lot of like elitist, people in metal. We all know. And I've been there. I've been like, "Ah, I don't like that band. They're too popular. I don't like that band. They're corny." Um, but now we're that band. You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh
Right.
my God. I'm like, yeah, like the elitist stuff just like doesn't, or gatekeeping doesn't give a band a career, and then people wonder why bands don't survive those things. So I'm just happy to have such a supportive fan base, people that are rooting for us at all moments, and people that are excited about what we're doing and what we got coming up. So we're gonna ride it till the wheels fall off. I'm very thankful.
Yeah, and I know you guys have had some stuff maybe before Will joined the band, but I mean, with the culture that we're in now, with you a touring band, you say the wrong thing to the wrong person, to the wrong girl, to the wrong guy, and the next thing you know, it's on Reddit and Twitter and everything else the next day, and you got to kind of dodge those bullets, man. I definitely don't envy any bands coming up and trying to navigate that and trying to, kind of dodge those landmines, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's always been pretty simple for the people that have been in the band a long time. We've always had a lot of respect, grew up with just a lot of respect for the people that come to the
Hmm.
shows, the bands. Obviously we've had an issue with a certain member who left, years ago. But that was like so far removed from like the rest of us because, we all were just going to get food and hanging out and had like our priorities straight. So, I mean, talking to fans, like obviously you'll catch people on a rough day, or if you're in the middle of something, you got to get to where you got to be. You can't stop. And also, I think what we're running into now is just if you stop and talk to, one
One,
group
you
of
yeah.
people, then I feel bad if I have to leave and duck the other people because other people have been waiting. So I try to make time when I can. We just played a festival in Sweden, and we were the last band of the day. I just went up to the barricade, just shook as many hands as I could, you know, for who I could see and who stuck around, and just you know gave them praise. And we do that, sometimes. It's definitely tough though, because one, there's germs everywhere, as far as for Will, he just screamed for an hour and a half. He can't talk for another hour and a half after stage.
Mhm.
He won't make it to the next show. So someone like me, if I could be out there and talk to a few people or anyone I run into, I'm always thankful. But yeah, it's definitely tough, maybe to navigate, like you said. If you say the wrong thing, it could end up somewhere crazy. So you definitely gotta just have some common sense and be a normal dude,
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen online. I mean, I'm not saying that this is out there, but I'm sure you've seen something like, man, Austin was a dick today. And you're like, man, I was having a rough day. I really wasn't trying to be, like
Oh
I
yeah.
could, you totally see that type stuff. I remember one time I had just joined the band or joined a band, and this was message board days, and it popped up as like, hey, I saw Toomey talking to some girl that wasn't his, that, I don't think it was his wife. And I looked back and I was like thinking about it. I was like, that was just a fan. Like I didn't even do anything, but like it was
Yeah.
like all over the thing about how I was talking to some girl at some show, and I'm like, I was being nice. Like, but
People
yeah,
like
so
to be all up
the
in your
internet's wild,
business.
man.
Yeah, that's
Right.
and then on the other coin, it's like when you play live, people I think people with interactions with me face to face, like I don't see too much, but I
Yeah.
mean definitely some hate about the live show, which again, if you caught a rough, couple seconds of a song after, I'm playing for an hour or so, I'm sorry, you know what I mean? I'm only human, and I think there's
Yeah.
a big expectation nowadays for like it to be a perfect show. It needs to be perfect. It's got to sound like the record. But I feel like the point of going to see a band live is to see the band live, and the imperfections. Oh, the freaking song, the singer announced the wrong song and they went into the next one.
Oh
Like
yeah.
those are special moments. And again, we try to prevent those things. But at the end of the day, I'm always like, yeah, it's nice to see a human on the stage, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd be like a lot of people, have just a huge expectation of live shows and metal, and, I think people's ears are just trained differently now because 'cause I've seen bands, raw bands and bands that just crush. I mean, I just did this thing where I was watching I forget who it was on the summer festivals. I was watching someone, but then I went home and I was like, "Oh my god, that was such a great show," and I went on YouTube and I watched them play the same show, and I remember
Yeah.
being like, "Oh, man, like, it didn't feel like that." I
Right.
noticed a couple little things here and there, and I'm like, "Oh, it did not feel like that in that room," and I'm like, "Let me just get off this. I'm not gonna remember the show for this." Like, I remember when I saw it, it was incredible, so,
Right.
it was just too much, like, of that like, I just noticed it in that moment, like, "Oh, wow, watching it at home is so different than being there."
Right. I mean, you're around a group of people. There's a vibe. There's energy in the room. Energy at the festival and whatnot. But then you get home and you watch a cell phone, iPhone version of the show, and it's just like, the guy could be standing in the wrong spot, not getting all of the, getting all the drums or all the vocals or something like that. It's just like it's just not the same, man. It's just not right.
Nah, so I think, as far as, like, the extreme, crazy stuff that we all do, people gotta have a little grace once in a while, you know?
Right. Have some great, yeah, because and I've fallen victim to that too, where I'll watch videos of like people trying to catch people not playing as good as they should be, or even to the point now where like people are faking it on stage. Like there's uh tons of videos out there now of like people, like I'm like, oh, I'll watch it. I'm like, oh, that guy's awesome, and then somebody dissects the video, and they're like, he's not even playing that. Like when you see his picking hand, it does this, but the sound does that, and you're like, Jesus Christ, man, people are faking everything now.
Yeah, and I think it's just so much effort to fake it than to just go practice or you know what I mean?
Right.
So, It takes a lot to do that stuff, especially when people are like, oh, he fakes the trigger, or oh, every time he hits the trigger it plays two. I remember there was a huge argument with some guy online about, yeah, when he hits it once it does two, and he has certain settings that can change it to this and that. And I'm like, that's a lot of work, and that's something that I don't even know how you could do that. But show
Yeah,
me the way,
right. Hey,
and maybe we can help myself. But like I was like, that's
maybe I will do
really
that.
impossible.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine trying to like learn how to, if you hit the kick once, it does it twice, trying to get that rhythmically correct. You know what I'm saying?
It can't be done.
Right.
I might as well just learn a different instrument at that point. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. What do you guys have touring coming up? I know the Black Dahlia Murder, Shadow of Intent, Peeling Flesh. That tour is coming up. What else do we have in the works?
We have that tour. We have we just announced that we're going back to Australia later in the year for Good Things Festival. It's like a 3-day festival, same bands on each day. Tool, Weezer, Knock Loose.
Yeah, those fests are wild, man.
Yeah,
Those Australian fests are great with the diversity of bands on those.
All American Reject. It's the craziest bill. So that's gonna be a lot of fun because I love all that type of stuff. And we're doing like a European headliner next year with Whitechapel, Shadow of Intent as well, and then Humanity's Last Breath. And that's selling very well. It's going to be a sick tour. Europe is a great market. I love everyone in Europe. They support the band very, very much. And aside from that, just trying to figure it out. You know, we got a record coming out. We got to do the biggest and best things for this album cycle. So we talk a lot. We're trying to figure it out, and I'm sure sooner than later things will be revealed. So yeah, a lot of good stuff. And most of all, just, you know, pushing this record, you know, putting on more singles, and yeah, just have some fun, see where this can get us.
And obviously, you being a fan of things like Whitechapel, how cool is it to be able to take out bands like that, as you know, to kind of give back, you know, to put them in front of a newer audience too.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I mean that's I would love for the kids that think that we're the heaviest band to go listen to Whitechapel. I'm like, oh, I'm like, they're putting on. I remember the first show with them. I was like, these boys are putting on a clinic. This is how you do it. This is how it's done. And I love Whitechapel. I mean, to even just be able to tour and see that band every day, you know, is half the reason why I'm like, oh, cool. Would love watching that band every day. And you're putting on a band before you that forces you to like go grab the sticks and go warm up, or you're watching,
Right.
you're like sweat and you're like, oh my God, like, you should have a band on the bill right before you. That's like, oof. Yeah, we gotta follow this up, because they were incredible that whole tour. I remember the first day I was like, oh my God, these guys just haven't skipped a beat. Phil is one of the greatest vocalists, if not the greatest of our generation, truly. And Brandon, their new drummer, guy's insane. So I was just watching them from the side, like, man, we got to get it together.
Guys, we need to practice a little bit more.
Yeah, let's go over that one part. But again, you know, we got Black Dahlia coming on this tour, and again,
Yeah.
seasoned vets. They're gonna come out. They've been doing this about almost over half my life. So, you know, I'm excited to, you know, have them just crush this audience. And, you know, again, if it gets new fans in their world, I would love to give back to a band like Black Dahlia, because we wouldn't be a band without Black Dahlia or Whitechapel, you know. So it's hard to be like who's bigger than who game, but if all the cards line up and we're all out on tour and we're all having a good time, then as long as everyone's, you know, having a great time and playing great shows, that's all we want to do. As long as the shows are great, everyone's like, oh my God, the crowd was amazing today, your fans are great, you know, that's all I want to see. I want our fans to treat everyone on the bill with a lot of respect.
With the band and where it's at, and kind of you know, to keep ascending, how involved into like the live show are you, or you know, lights and fire and everything else? Where are we at with that? Are we you know, diving into as much live production as possible at this point?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, our manager gets pretty upset, you know, just because, I mean, it is his job to be upset. You know, we have big visions. We've seen things now. We've toured and we've done so much. And it's just like, you know, you're wondering when is it your time to put on a show like that. And then, you know, it's also just like a lot more work, obviously. Because if you need a light show program, cool, you hit up a light programmer. Easy.
Right.
You need fire. All right, then you're adding another team of 3 people. You need video wall. All right, that's another guy to make the content, another 3, 4, 5 people to build it every day, and then another 2 to operate it. It's so the crew, the bunk space, the truck space, everything expands. So it's a bit overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie. I think every band, once they reach that point, has to be a bit overwhelmed. But luckily, we have such a great crew and people that give us ideas, show us, what's possible with the budget. And yeah, I mean, we really want to this cycle up the production game for sure. I think this next tour will be absolutely the largest production we've ever had. So I'm really excited to kind of unveil the new album cycle. Production and what we're gonna try and expand upon going forward.
When does the Black Dahlia tour start?
It starts, I want to say September 16th. I could be wrong. It could be a couple days later. I got it right here. September 17th.
Nice. Yeah, so it's coming up quick.
We'll be out. Yeah, we're almost there.
Almost there. Quick thing on the record. Where did you record it? Who did you work with?
We worked with Josh Schroeder,
Nice.
who is in Midland, Michigan. He's done bands to the likes of, King A10, Signs of the Swarm, Tala, Butcher Babies, Varials, and if you want to go back,
Is that like a cabin that's kind of out in the middle of nowhere?
It is, yeah. Well,
yeah, okay, yeah, I've seen.
It's his house, but it's all in the middle of nowhere, and underneath his house
Yeah.
in the basement area, he's converted into a studio. But yeah, I mean, what that guy makes happen in that little basement is it'll blow the whole neighborhood up. Like it's definitely my man's got a method to his madness, and yeah, we've been going there for the last 4 releases since Immortal. We've been going to him. And yeah, it's just been, again, as we grow and figure things out, we're doing those same things with him. And it's just crazy to see, what this beast can become. Every time we show up to that basement, I always say, like, the world on the outside is a bit different for us, but when we get down there, it kind of brings us all down to this level that we've been at for the last 6-7 years. I get there and I feel like I did 6 years ago, proving ourselves, trying to write the best record that's going to get us out the basement. We don't leave till we're done. So every time it's like, when we leave that underground space of Michigan, I'm like, we better have something to bring the world that's gonna, leave it in a different place than when we left off. So yeah, right. We love working with Josh. He's been there with us, for us, in all stages of this career. So I'm really thankful to have done this record with him.
Awesome. Well, once again, September 12th, feel the Everblack, Festering Within Me, Lorna Shore. Austin, man, thanks for taking some time here. Good luck on the road, and good luck with the new record. I've listened to the entire thing, and it's an incredible record. Your drums are insane, like so insane.
Thank you, Joshua.
All right, man. Take care.
Hey, you too, boss.